Top U.S. Senator Schumer meets Chinese Foreign Minister, Agency Pool. U.S. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and his delegation met with Chinese Foreign Minister Wang in Beijing. Wang expressed hope that the visit would lead to a better understanding between the U.S. and China and help manage their differences. Schumer thanked Wang for the meeting but expressed disappointment with China's statement on the Israel-Palestine conflict. He was disappointed by Beijing's statement, which showed no sympathy or support for Israel during these tough, troubled times. Schumer is the latest high-level American official to visit China as Washington seeks to ease tensions with Beijing. He also raised the issue of Chinese firms' role in the fentanyl drug addiction crisis in the United States. Bloomberg has reported his delegation is seeking a meeting with President Xi Jinping. Israel attacks spark outrage. Republican presidential candidates have been reacting to the attacks on Israel, outlining their views of America's role on the global stage and criticizing President Biden's approach. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis suggested Biden's administration empowered Iran after it agreed to allow $6 billion in Iranian assets to be unfrozen for specific purposes in exchange for 5 American hostages. DeSantis also suggested Biden should show a full-throated support of Israel in using lethal force to root out Hamas once and for all. While most Republican candidates said America should show support for Israel's response, the question of whether aid should be sent is to be determined. Former President Donald Trump attributed the attacks to perceived weakness from the United States. Troubled times. Former Vice President Mike Pence called on Biden to assure Israel the U.S. will send military support and aid. Former New Jersey Gov. Role in the fentanyl drug addiction crisis in the United States. Chris Christie went after Biden for his handling of the Iran detainee deal, but also mentioned that both parties need to stop playing politics and help Israel. Israel updates. We are at war, Israel's Netanyahu says as Hamas launches surprise multi-front attack. President Joe Biden condemned the attack and pledged U.S. support, outlining their views of America's role on the global stage and criticizing President Biden's approach. The attack on Israel by Hamas militants coincided with a major Jewish holiday to allow $6 billion in Iranian assets to be unfrozen for specific purposes in exchange for 5 American hostages. The attack has revived memories of the 1973 Yom Kippur War, full force to root out Hamas once and for all. While most Republican candidates said America should show support for Israel's response, the question of whether aid should be sent is to be determined. Former U.S. intelligence officials questioned whether Israel missed warning signs. Troubled times. What we know about the Hamas attack on Israel. Netanyahu says as Hamas launches, the Hamas militant group in the Gaza Strip launched an unprecedented attack on Israel on Saturday, resulting in over 700 deaths and 2,150 wounded. The Hamas militants infiltrated the heavily fortified border in several locations by air, land, and sea, catching the country off guard on a major holiday, Simchat Torah. 5 American hostages. The Hamas militant group is also holding dozens of Israeli civilians and soldiers captive in the Gaza Strip. While most Republican candidates said America should show support for Israel's response, the question of whether aid should be sent is to be determined. The UN officials questioned whether Israel missed warning signs. Troubled times. Secretary General Antonio Guterres condemned the Hamas attacks and urged maximum restraint. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu declared that the military will use all of its strength to destroy Hamas capabilities, but warned that the war will take time and be difficult. More than 300 Palestinians have been killed in retaliatory Israeli airstrikes on Gaza. Stop playing politics and help Israel. The United States has responded to the attacks, with President Biden calling Israel the U.S.'s most sacred ally and the U.S. providing additional equipment and resources to the Israel Defense Forces.